Hi, folks. Today's episode brought to you by one of my favorite sponsors, sunsetlakesabade.com. If you use the code LEFTISBEST, you will get 20% off. This is a great company. They are movement partners. They have donated tens of thousands of dollars to things like strike relief funds and carceral reform, Planned Parenthood, refugee resettlement. They've engaged in mutual aid up in Vermont. That's where the company is based. That's where their farms are. They use integrated pest management, so no pesticide on your Seder day. They got smokables. They got keef. They got pre-rolls. It's a great way to maybe cut down on your booze, chill out a little bit with something different. Also, there's some people I know. I'm not going to name anybody, but maybe I'll point at somebody who likes to mix it in with their, what is it called? The entourage effect?
Yeah. I think that might be your invention.
And no, I think it is. And they also, they also have things like gummies to help you sleep, gummies with a little THC. They have balms and lotions with some Seder day in it. They've got coffee and fudge. Check it out. Go over there right now, sunsetlakesabade.com. If you use the code LEFTISBEST, you will get 20% off of everything. Check it out. They also got deals if you get a certain amount. They give you free shipping, and they've got referral deals. Great company, great product. sunsetlakesabade.com. Use the code LEFTISBEST for 20% off. They should do a code like Entourage at one point.
Yeah, that's easy to spell. That's a good.
That's probably not a good. Left is best. All one word. 20% off. sunsetlakesabade.com. Now time for the show.
Use code coup d'etat.
The Majority Report with Sam Seder, where every day's casual Friday.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Is casual Monday. Tuesday, casual Tuesday. Wednesday,
Capitalize the C.
Denouement. Thursday, casual Thurs. That's what we call it. And Friday, casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Seder.
It is Friday, January 30th, 2026. My name is Sam Seder. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal, in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Heather Digby Parton, columnist at Salon.com and proprietor of the Hullabaloo blog. Also on the program today, Bryan Quinby, Chris James, host of the Guys podcast. Also on the program today, as Chuck Schumer wilts, the Senate funding deal on again, off again, and stalled again. Meanwhile, Tom Homan claimed Minnesota drawdown supposedly happening. Don Lemon and journalist Georgia Fort arrested for reporting on that Minnesota church protest last week. Federal judge says Luigi will not face death penalty. Trump to sue the IRS and Treasury for $10 billion over his tax filing leak. I mean, you know, Trump meets with Albertan separatists and also threatens a 50% tariff on Canadian aircraft. Sonia Massey's killer gets 20 years in prison. Trump to nominate Kevin Warsh, Ron Lauder's son-in-law, for Fed chair. You remember Ron Lauder? He's that billionaire who suggested to Donald Trump to buy or invade Greenland. Speaking of Donald Trump, his approval at a new low. And Cuba reportedly only has 15 to 20 days of oil left as a result of U.S. enhanced embargo? All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is Casual Friday. Emma is out today. Very, very casual. She's being super casual about it.
Her immune system's being casual.
What's that? Her
immune system's being casual.
Yeah, exactly. Folks, it is a bad time to get a cold right now. You don't want to. Bryan and I were talking about this before the show. I wear a mask on the subway. I mean, I do that just as a COVID protection, but also, frankly, the flu this year is nasty as hell. And I am been vigilant about washing my hands. And I'm actually excited. You have to wear gloves more often than not when you get into the subway because it's so freezing. And the gloves is just one more protection. So there you go.
I'm walking around with one of those Pope bless you spoons filled with hand sanitizer. And I'm just flicking hand sanitizer at everybody.
Has nothing to do with germs or cold, though. That's the difficult part.
It's just the word of God.
Lot to get to today. You'll recall, was it a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago? There was a protest by some Minnesota activists of a church where the pastor turns out to have been an ICE regional director or field office director. And there was a protest there. People were removed. One woman was arrested, and sort of famously, the Trump administration changed an image of her as she was walking out. I've actually subsequently seen the video of the when she was arrested. She was incredibly calm and was having conversations. At one point, sort of joked with the ICE guy, who also seemed to feel bad about arresting her because he knew this was BS. Incidentally, I don't even know why ICE would even be involved in making these arrests. But they changed her picture to make it look like she was crying. She wasn't. It's that incident. Don Lemon, yeah, that's the picture. And Don Lemon and another reporter, I should say a journalist, Georgia Fort, were covering this with, I don't know if they probably got a tip. I mean, this happens all the time. If you're going to protest, you call media and get the media to follow it. I mean, that is the most basic premise of protesting, frankly. And they recorded it, videotaped it, like we would if we were, like anybody would, really. And there was an attempt to get both these people arrested by local judges in Minnesota. The DOJ couldn't get magistrates to sign off an arrest warrant. And so I don't know, have they taken it? I don't know what the process was that they were able to arrest these two, but they have. Here is Georgia Fort announcing that there's agents at her door.
Do you want to wear my black boots?
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. They're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to go with them, I guess, down to Whipple. And my children are here. They're impacted by this. This is all stemming from the fact that I filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right as a member of the press, because now federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest a few weeks ago. Again, I don't have a long time here, you guys, but I wanted you to know, for me, agents are at my door right now. My attorney has spoken with them. I did send a relative outside to talk to them. They're showing some type of documentation, apparently, that they got an indictment from a grand jury. I knew that I was on a defendant's list. I did not publish it because it was under seal. And so we've done everything that we can to try and abide by, the advice of our attorneys. But right now, you guys, I wanted you to know I'm going to have to hop off here and surrender to agents as a member of the press. I filmed the church protest a few weeks.
That was basically it. And I don't know why. Do we not have the longer one, or?
Oh, we can keep playing. There's only the.
I mean, that's basically the gist of the story. And the agent, literally, you can hear towards the end of the video, the agent knocking again, let us in. And so she had to sign off. This is a statement from Don Lemon, his attorney, Abby Lowell. She is a pretty high profile attorney. I can't remember exactly all the people that she's represented, but I think she was involved in the Me Too stuff, I think, and I'm not sure. Don Lemon was taken into custody by federal agents last night in Los Angeles, where he was covering the Grammy Awards. Don's been a journalist for 30 years. His constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. The First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role it is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. There's no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Instead of investigating the federal agents who killed 2 peaceful Minnesota protesters, the Trump Justice Department is devoting its time, attention, and resources to this arrest. And that is the real indictment of the wrongdoing in this case. This unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing the administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. We obviously don't know what the deliberations of the grand jury were or what the charges. I don't know, quite frankly, at this point, exactly what the charges are. But it is hard not to imagine that this isn't a function of that NSPM 7, which explicitly said you are running afoul of president's law. I mean, I don't know what the statutory basis of this, but essentially you are a domestic terrorist if you are engaged in anything that is an affront to a church. And I suspect this is a way for them to begin to work these laws into practice. Of course, it also is an attempt to chill the press, to intimidate activists, et cetera, et cetera. But understand, this is the way these things develop. I've said before, no two fascist movements look identical. And certainly, there are innovations and changes wherever it crops up. But when Anne Frank was hidden, people were breaking the law in hiding her. When Anne Frank was hiding and her family was not presenting themselves to German authorities, they were breaking the law. This is establishing these laws. And of course, now we're watching sort of like the Congress is refusing to exercise any statutory authority. And these Republicans are in league with Trump. Now, fortunately, we have a Democratic Party that is saying, no way are we going to participate in a government like that. Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's the opposite. I got confused. We're going to definitely participate in a government like this, but we will only fund DHS for 2 more weeks. I don't mean to say that we'll only fund DHS for 2 more weeks. What I mean to say is that we're going to fund it for two more weeks, and then we will fund it again.
Because it's so vital.
And this is where we're at now, and we will talk to Heather Parton in a moment about this funding and whatnot. But this is just the beginning. Should be noted that, of course, I believe, if they arrested two activists and two journalists, I think it's 4 for 4 are black people, just because it makes it a little bit, it greases the wheels for them in their mind, at least with their supporters.
Yeah, I will also, there's 16 people arrested in Minneapolis. There's a news story here from Fox 9 News, 16 arrests for attacks, and it has a profile of a large number of them. A lot of things like blowing whistles, and was part of a group of 8 to 10 vehicles parked around ICE vehicles, quote, making it difficult for them to leave. So our DOJ, Pam Bondi,
the law against making it difficult for them to leave.
Yeah, man, I've been a victim of that so many times.
Pam Bondi announced the names of all the people, I think it was on Twitter or something, of all the names of those people who were arrested. And I think they also released photos. All the ICE people who have in the photos have their backs turned to us. We see the faces of the patriots who did this stuff. Did I say MSPM?
NSPM 7. You said it right, I think.
Okay. Well, it's close. We'll obviously be talking more about this as we go on. In a moment, we'll be talking to Heather Digby Parton. And later in the program, Bryan Quinby and Chris James, host of the Guys podcast. First, a word from our sponsor. 1 in 5 Americans have learned a new language on their bucket list. If that's you, you can make this the year you finally check it off with Babbel, the language app that makes grammar fun and is actually worth your time. This has more salience, I think, at this time right now. The ability to talk to your neighbors and people in your community couldn't be more important. And Babbel lets you practice real-life conversations without the stress. You'll build the confidence to speak up when it matters, so you can start speaking with confidence in as little as 3 weeks. Babbel recognizes that real-world connections are at the heart of language learning. Their courses are designed by real human beings to teach you relevant words and phrases you're actually going to use. Their bite-sized lessons fits easily into your daily routine. They're also easy to remember. Just 10 minutes a day is enough to start seeing real results. As of late, I have not been using Babbel when I walk to work to the extent that I do, because it is so cold out that I can't. All I do is try and maintain consciousness. But it is super easy. They come in 10-minute bite-sized lessons. Super easy to learn stuff like La migra es un punta, or I don't think they have that one, but me gustaría un bagel con queso, crema, ceboleta y tomato, por favor. The guy at my bagel place is Spanish, and I'm getting there. The first time I tried it, he was like, what? And now I'm getting there. Babbel adapts to your learning style, keeps you motivated with personalized learning plans, real-time feedback, and progress tracking. Babbel has over 25 million subscriptions sold worldwide, 14 languages to choose from. And every course comes with a 20-day money-back guarantee. And here is a special and limited time, I should say, deal for you right now. Get up to 55% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/majority. That's 55% off at babbel.com/majority, spelled BABBEL, BABBEL.com/majority. Rules and restrictions may apply. We're going to take a quick break. All of that information, of course, in the podcast and YouTube descriptions, as always. And just a reminder, it is your support that keeps this show going. if you want the free show, free of commercials, you become a member at jointhemajorityreport.com. And also check out the AM Quickie, amquickie.com. You get 3 days of news in your mailbox, emailed 9 a.m. every morning, 3 days a week for free, and then a couple of bucks if you want 5 days a week, couple bucks a month. All right, quick break. Heather Digby Parton will be joining us.
There's other sound going on there.
I was going to say that the song sounds a little bit weird.
The remix.
I liked it.
Heather Parton, Digby, thanks so much for joining us. Sorry about
I'm sure I sound a little weird too because it's just been that kind of week. So.
Yeah, we were just saying, like, it's only been a month, really, since you were on the program. I guess, maybe before break. So, technically 6 weeks. But this feels like, when you and I have been having these conversations, for over 20 years now, I think, on some level or another, this feels like the worst month, just the most relentless. I don't know. Like, we had never talked when the Iraq War started. But this seems like one of the worst months for just the that I can remember in ever, maybe.
Me too. And it's not, relentless is the right word, because it's not just, it's one thing when you have one big story that sort of is dominating and you're just, you can't take your eyes off it, and it's fast moving and there's a lot of stuff happening. We've had half a dozen of those kind of stories within the month. I mean, we started off with an invasion of a foreign country, and, we've got, the president trying to, alienating the entire world, trying to buy or, invade another country, and Greenland just completely blowing up the world order. Obviously, everything that's been going on with ICE. There's the stuff with the Epstein files. I mean, it's just been overwhelming this month. Like I keep saying, it's been the longest year of my life, and it's only been a month long. It's incredible. And people say that this is them. What do they call it? The shock and awe, or, just trying to, throw everything at the wall to try and keep everybody off balance. And all of that is true. But this stuff is all real, too. It's not like they're making stuff up. This is actually happening.
Right.
And we are, we're forced, it'd be one thing if we could just say, oh, forget about that. That's just a distraction. It doesn't mean anything. All these things mean something. It's something really important. They're absolutely vital, huge stories in and of themselves, every single one of them. And we're just kind of, bouncing like pinballs from one to the other. And it's just, it's exhausting. And I think part of it does serve to get the public kind of just overwhelmed and kind of desensitized, which really does work. However, having said that, I think something broke through in a way that I haven't seen in a long, long time, which was the murders in Minneapolis. And I think that has made a difference, even with all of this relentless news that's just, battering us. I think people were unable to look away. And so something did change there with that one. But man, I'm telling you, this 30 days has been unbelievable.
There's sort of like, I think part of it is actually, I think it's like a two-part strategy, or I should say the strategy works on two levels. Bannon talked about in the first term about flooding the zone.
Right.
Like we're just going to do so much that they can't keep up. I mean, he really has a savvy about the media. Now, the media landscape's changed, but people forget. I mean, this is not terribly relevant today, except for to just speak about sort of Bannon's understanding of the media ecosystem. He's the one who was able to, this is just crazy now to think about Bannon having this type of access, but he's the one who partnered with the New York Times with that Cash for Clinton's book or whatever it was, Clinton Cash. And had the New York Times run excerpts of this book, which ultimately a lot of the stuff in there was just found to be complete bunk. This is no way to defend Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton. I don't need to litigate that now. But he knew that the Times would bite and really, eat this stuff up. And he's also the guy who nurtured Gamergate, which ended up in many ways, building that online sort of alt-right.
I did not know that. He did?
Oh yes. When he was in charge of Breitbart, he had Milo Yiannopoulos cover it and nurture the whole thing. It all came out of Breitbart.
I didn't realize that at the time. That was a huge story, but I only followed it peripherally because it was about gaming, and I'm not, particularly into that. So I didn't really follow it. Only in retrospect have I learned just how influential that was in creating the social media ecosystem that we now live in. Now it pretty much rules our world. So interesting because Bannon is a very interesting character. He's, a psychopath, but he's also quite smart. And I was one of the few people in that Trump world, in the inner sort of outer circle of Trump world, who has a real ideology and a real long-term agenda that is based upon, he's an autodidact and he's very, philosophically sort of all over the place, but he has formed for himself a true ideology and has been following it this whole time. You can say a lot about these people. Most of them are silly kind of gadflies and just, cultists, but he is not one. He has his own mission. And it's very, it's horrible. It's dark, authoritarian mission, but he's that guy. So it's very interesting to me that he has maintained this influence wherever he is, whether it was Breitbart, within the White House, in the campaign. He ran Trump's campaign for a while in 2016. And then now, people sort of dismiss these right-wing influencers. They shouldn't. And
No.
he's kind of the king of the influencers. I mean, he's the guy who
And
has more
I
access than
suspect
anybody.
he and Miller are still sort of like
Absolutely.
working together, because much of what we're seeing is certainly in the course of this month. And between Miller and Bannon, I would say the vast majority of what we've seen this month. I mean, Bannon seems to have more of the international sort of like notion, but this is a, fascistic, imperialistic, but narrowly tailored, just a slightly different perspective on imperialism. Let's just go, let's go vertically instead of horizontally, essentially, is the imperialism here. So the flood the zone is a thing. And I think also just sort of like, you've got like the Russell Votes and the Steve Millers who are just know that we only have a certain amount of time to do this.
Yep.
And if we don't get it done by, I would imagine midterms for them, they need to get this done, because part of that project, and I think we may have seen it with Tulsi Gabbard yesterday in Georgia,
Absolutely.
and we're seeing it, I think, in terms of like trying to build the momentum for the Insurrection Act, and the idea of like, let's get people used to federal troops on the ground in places where there's voting, and we'll have Pam Bondi sort of trade. We're going to trade, give us the documents we want, the voting rolls. I think their timeline is, we need to get this done, all this stuff, before we can sort of like run with a little bit more freedom, in the next 9-10 months. And they're operating like it.
Absolutely. You're so right. I mean, this is just, they know they're under a time limit to be able to just do as much as they possibly can. I mean, if the midterms don't go their way, and it all things, if it's fair and, free, and we have some reason to believe that perhaps there is something in the works to prevent that, seeing what happened this week in Fulton County, Georgia. But, assuming that perhaps they lose at least one house, and potentially, with the way it's looking, both houses of Congress, they are going to have some limit on their ability to function. Now, I will just throw this out here for people, because I never hear anybody talk about this, but it's really important. If they hold on to the Senate for the last 2 years of Trump's term, I think Scalia and Alito are going to retire.
100%.
And I think that it's
they might do it in the next 10 months.
They might do it. It's possible. If they really see the handwriting on the wall, I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen too. They may have a little bit more of a difficult time. It's possible they've got some people in there like Tillis and Murkowski and some others who maybe might balk a little bit at pushing through another Trump nominee. But boy, that's really thin reed to hang our hopes on, because who knows what they'll do. But the fact is that that's a very real possibility, that Trump will have packed the court with 5 of his own nominees by the time they're done. So, I mean, there's a lot at stake here for everybody in the midterms, and, their own agenda and everything else. And yes, they're moving as quickly as they can to get all this stuff done. And it's also that they all have their own agendas. I mean, I honestly think that Donald Trump we know what he cares about. He's building his legacy right now, and he thinks building his legacy means building, tributes to himself and statues and arcs and ballrooms and all that stuff, and naming airports and doing all that sort of thing. I mean, that's just who he is, and he's doing that. And it's also that he wants this legacy, perhaps, of being an expansionist president who, took some piece of land that he wasn't entitled to. So he wants to do that as well, called Greenland Trumpland or something. And he wants to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And, however, he doesn't have a clue on what would be required, and that probably won't happen, although I wouldn't be surprised about that either. But the rest of these people, Miller, Vogt, there's whole groups of them, Rubio, they have their own agenda that they've had for years. It has nothing to do with Trump. It's just that they've got this guy there who is willing to do whatever. He no longer has any restraint. He doesn't care. He's willing, he thinks they can convince him to do anything. It builds his legacy.
I would put Kennedy in that same,
sure, absolutely.
People who are willing to, and his is, I think sheer lunacy, but he's willing I was reading about the Melania screening that they wouldn't allow the press into at the place formerly named after Kennedy, but now after Trump Center.
Uh-huh.
And somebody asked Kennedy about it. He's like, well, the Kennedy Center, Kennedy cared about the arts, and so doesn't Donald Trump. And like the abject humiliation that he is willing to suck up to for the purpose of pursuing what I think is sheer insanity. They all have that. Like, Rubio has this now. He's able to starve Cuba, which is in his long-term agenda. And all of them, and they're willing to do. And then I think also there's some of them like Kristi Noem, who just has sheer ambition. And on some levels, like those are the ones who may stumble more, is the ones who are just like, who don't even have a guiding principle as much as horrible as it is to their sick infantry. Is that what you call that? Sycophancy,
I think.
Okay. Thank you. But yeah, this is what we're dealing with. And you made the point. You had 3 pieces out this week that I've read about how the protests are sort of like expanding and how people are becoming aware of it. And one that actually sort of like, I think is, of a same piece about the Democrats, but sort of not getting that in many respects. Let's though start with Jack Smith, because this is a story that was completely undercovered. We barely touched it. I know that for like a couple of days we had pulled footage, but there's just so much other things. But this Smith stuff was hugely important, and particularly in light of what's going on in Georgia yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, well, this is the thing, Donald Trump has made the 2020 election. I mean, he can't let it go. Any normal person would have, once he got reelected in 2024, would have said, hey, I got the last laugh. You guys, okay, whatever happened in 2020, but I'm back. So, whatever. And let that thing go. But he can't, because he is a psychologically twisted, malignant narcissist who can't do that. So he's pursuing it. He talks about it constantly. He's kept it at the very, top of the talking points among the MAGA people. They're still obsessed with it, and he is more obsessed with it than anybody else. And so, this topic, which we saw that just this week, they sent in the FBI down there to Georgia, and to grab the 2020 ballots, and they did. And this has been on their agenda for a long time. They've been wanting to, get a hold of the ballots. So we're still in 2020. Nobody normal would want that. If he's in his second term building his legacy, why is he doing that? He is the sorest loser in world history. And I say that is not hyperbolic. It's absolutely true. He is the sorest loser in world history. Because look at the power that he wields, and he's still, doing this. So, along comes Jack Smith, and I had read the transcript of his.
We should just say he was a special counsel. I mean, people may not remember.
Right. He was the special counsel that investigated Trump, the January 6th, and investigated the Mar-a-Lago, the espionage, the classified documents that he kept in Mar-a-Lago, and. So he was in charge of those 2 cases, and he filed indictments in both of those cases and said that he had proof beyond reasonable doubt, they believed, to convict him on those 2 cases. What was interesting about it is that with all this hoopla about, the ballots and whatever, Trump's always blowing smoke about this stuff. In comes Jack Smith. And we had seen a January 6th committee, which I thought was one of the most effective committee presentations I've ever seen. And I watched the Watergate ones back when I was a kid. I mean, it was really well done, and I think was convincing to the vast majority of Americans. Everybody but Republicans, went, okay, case closed, got it. But Jack Smith comes in, and here he comes in with the mane of a very, very straight arrow, just the facts man prosecutor. And he had told them in private session what he knew. I mean, to the extent he could. He's not allowed to talk about the Mar-a-Lago case because apparently it's under seal And who knows whether or not the report that he wrote about it is under seal, and we don't know whether or not anybody's ever going to see it. But the January 6th report was out, and he can talk about that, and he did. And it was absolutely riveting testimony. I don't know, some of the networks covered it as he was speaking. I mean, he was everything that we had hoped that Robert Mueller would be and
Right.
wasn't in the Russia investigation. And he just laid it out, and the Republicans were unable to lay a hand on him. He was absolutely confident and sure of his facts and laid this out. And it was stunning to hear it once again. What happened? The president of the United States, the current president of the United States, absolutely, without a doubt, tried to overthrow an election and incited an insurrection. And he had the facts at hand, and he basically laid it out. And I guess nobody cares on that part of the story, but it sure seems like they should, considering the fact that Trump brings it up every 5 minutes. It would have been nice if we could have had, if we'd have been able to find the bandwidth. I guess here we are back on the flood the zone situation. If we could have had the bandwidth to look at that,
It's interesting too that they didn't do this raid in Georgia until a couple of days after his testimony.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, had the sequencing been reversed, more people might have listened to the Jack Smith. And I think I would have, because my feeling is like, I'm not obsessed about the 2020 election. It's in the past.
All this stuff, right?
And so, Jack Smith and of course all the other news is low on the totem pole of stuff that we need to get to. And we may go back and revisit it because it's quite clear that they're going to go through this stuff and they're going to use it for something, right? I mean, they're going to use it for something. And
no doubt. And the Democrats said that they're going to bring him back. I mean, I think there's absolutely no doubt that if they win the House in November, that they're going to pursue this because they have to. Look, I mean, we all would like to leave 2020 behind for a million reasons, not just this, but it's something that people would like to, but we can't because the Republicans have created a false, competing narrative of the truth that will never go away because Trump just is out there. And I think that they want to cling on to it. So it's very important that the record be cleared. And on the Mar-a-Lago case, if that comes out from, and apparently it's Pam Bondi who said, we really need to keep this under wraps. And so they've got Aileen Cannon down there, the federal judge, who is the one who's kept the seal on it. I don't know if they're ever going to be able to get that unsealed. The conventional wisdom was until recently that, of course, they're going to unseal it. You have to, there's no reason that she can't find a reason to do it. But come on, they can find a reason to do anything if they want to. So I don't know if that'll ever see the light of day unless somebody leaks it, because Smith wrote a report that exists in this world that nobody's ever seen. So somewhere perhaps someone will see it. But in any case, the Democrats are going to pursue this because they have. I think that they have to. I mean, it's like you have all these people going, well, no impeachment, no, we can't do this. We've got to. If we win, we can't be doing that kind of stuff. And I'm going, are you out of your mind? Of course we have to do all those things. Of course, you can't just let this go. Look what they've done.
I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I mean,
not either, but I'm saying
right.
It's just insane that
Right.
we're not there. I mean, of course, I recognize what we're dealing with here. And again, there is a bandwidth problem, but the minute that people start talking about, not looking in the rearview mirror, I think the base of the Democratic Party is going to absolutely explode because this is what got us here today.
What's amazing is, I mean, let's talk about that because I want to say tone deafness of Schumer and Jeffries, but it's not even tone deafness. We are now at the deafness is measured in like double-digit decibels. You know what I mean? Like this, this is not like there's some fine tuning that they're not quite in sync with what's going on the ground.
An earthquake. You can feel it. Everything's shaking. And the fact that they have to, police their tone is insane.
It's crazy. And like I just saw you wrote a piece, I guess it was last week, saying that it's more than just the economy, stupid. There's two things that strike me about this. You're talking about how like Democrats are, looking to win. They're going to just ignore everything else that's going on. Let's remember that prior to this shooting, the second shooting, you had 7 Democrats with Jeffrey's blessing who voted to fund DHS. Chuck Schumer there was no hesitation about passing the bill. They were like both what ICE had done in shooting Nicole Good, in Renee Good in the first instance, and all the other stuff, frankly, did not rise. But they had no concept of like, oh, wait a second, where are we going to be in 11 months or 2 months or 2 weeks? It ended up being 2 days, but they completely missed that. But it's also, and so I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about like, it's the economy, stupid. What are they suggesting? Like, it doesn't even seem to be that they're running on like economic proposals. No. They're just running on thinking like people are upset about the economy. It's like, it's not enough to say the eggs are expensive still. If you're going to do that, like I do think the economy is going to play a big role in the midterm election.
Yeah,
but
no doubt.
Democrats are not enhancing it in any way because they're not offering any proposals. Like telling people that the economy is bad is superfluous. They already know. And
of course they do.
And there's all this other stuff going on. There was a poll out in Michigan in the Democratic primary that had, for all intents and purposes, I think McMurrow was out by 5 or 6 points. And then Saeed and Stevens are more or less tied. And the big difference, there's like 36% undecided. So, which is double digits larger than any single candidate has. So that race is still in flux. But the democracy issues and the like ICE issues, they're playing a big part in that primary. And, we're talking midterms. We're not talking general election. Voter motivation and intensity counts for more in the midterms than it does in a general election. That's just like, that's just sort of basic.
It's everything. And the polling too. I mean, this is something that drives me crazy is that, when people poll on, when they go out and poll people about, what are your issues? What's going on? And they say, oh, it's terrible. The economy's awful. It's just awful. And, inflation and jobs and whatever the story is. And a lot of that is the way people talk about just the general feeling of what's going on in the country. It's not a directly literal interpretation of, oh, the inflation rate is at 2%. And I really think that, it should be at 1.4%. I mean, that's absurd. People don't think that way. What they feel is stress. When you hear affordability, right? A lot of that is stress. Is economic stress? Absolutely. People are feeling that. There's no doubt about it. Housing prices are insane. Renters and buyers alike. Mortgage rates, all of this stuff, grocery prices, all of that. But it isn't just that. It's the sense of stress in our society that things are coming apart, that there is chaos everywhere, that Donald Trump has come in. He's completely destroying us around the world, that domestically we have a secret police force that's running around in our cities and brutalizing people on the streets. And you can see the video of it every single day. Now that people may say, yeah, well, the most important thing to me is egg prices, but that's important to them. What's happening in the streets of America is important to them too. They're expressing their stress about what is going on in this country. And I simply cannot stand the idea that we're going to sit there with some, we understand that the prices are really too high for the eggs and we're going to do something about it, which of course they can't. They don't have the ability as a House member or as even having the majority in the House to do anything about egg prices. This is going to require a very heavy lift of a change of economic policy that they need to talk about in a lot, sort of broader terms, like the fact that we've got this, K-shaped economy where everybody making over $150,000 a year is doing a hell of a lot better than the bottom, 2/3 of the country that isn't. And, there are big ways to talk about the economy that make sense that we need to talk about. But, sitting around talking about how, we've got to get those egg prices down just isn't going to get it done. And by the way, it will lead to disappointment in 2028, because if the Democrats do win and, none of that stuff is going to be fixed, they're going to have to run in 2028 and say, yeah, well, we wanted to do something, but we couldn't because,
That's a great
whatever.
point.
Don't raise expectations on some specifics like that. You have to talk about it in bigger terms. And I honestly believe that voters will respond to that. They want somebody to kind of get it. Like, things are hurtling out of control in this country and we're freaking out. Okay. I mean, you got people, Minneapolis to me is just such an incredible inspiration. I never expected to see this. I mean, this is like 0-degree weather. You've got, moms of preschoolers and, grandparents, out in the streets, actually protecting their neighbors and saying, look, I don't know these people down the street, but I don't want some thugs walking in and grabbing them and throwing in the back of a car and driving away. I'm not going to let that happen because I'm an American and I believe in certain things. And, you see this all over the place in cities. We see it here in LA. There are people who are coming out to actually do something practical. And, what does that say to you? They don't, they're not going to trust the cops to come along and help.
Right.
They can't call somebody. They have to do it themselves. And this just says to me that, people get it. They're getting the fact that there is a massive crisis in this country. And here you see Schumer and Jeffries coming out. And I don't want to blame all the Democrats because some of them have really been great. I mean, they've come out, and there are plenty of them and you can sense their frustration with the leadership as well, because you hear them and they're just kind of gritting their teeth and rolling their eyes and going, come on here. But those two leaders and, some of the others that are just unwilling to sort of grasp the moment, and the voters are begging for the Democrats to grasp the moment. That's the reason why all the polling shows Democrats are less popular than Republicans right now as a party, as a brand. And it's because Democrats, their own party, is saying, yeah, we have no faith in these people. It's so frustrating because this is a moment, man. If you want to reach out and become, really prove yourself as somebody who is worth voting for, now is the time. It's here.
There are two things. One being that notion of just like egg prices are down and creating an expectation that, and egg prices obviously is just an avatar for that sort of large. But the absence of a plan that is like in some way signifying change and difference, right? Like, obviously Mamdani's running in New York City. You can't take his plans necessarily, although I think you probably could, but I mean, just for the sake of argument, it's a blue city, whatnot, but he's running a race that has a similar dynamic, right? I mean, Cuomo represented one sort of style of politicking, and Mamdani another. And I think there is an analog here. Mm-hmm. And so you don't necessarily have to come in and say free childcare, although I think you should. But you need to have a plan that is distinct and unique and different. And if you're going to run on the economy, otherwise just saying, egg prices, blah, blah, blah. And that way you can also say, like, step one, we take the House. Step two, we take the Senate. Step three, we take the presidency. And step four is universal health care, single payer health care, or whatever it is.
Abolish ICE. I mean, expand the Supreme Court. I don't care what it is. I mean,
whatever it is, there should be, there's so much. And on top of which, like, I'm just find it shocking the way that, like, Schumer and Jeffries are the entire theory about, like, if we don't exist, we have a better chance of winning. And I just find that so incompetent and misguided. And, you know, we're already seeing, like, it's quite possible the Democrats take the Senate in the fall. I mean,
Sure,
a lot of things have to happen.
Yeah.
But
But it's
we should
possible.
also note that, like, if they do, it's probably going to be with Chuck Schumer's hand-picked candidates only winning half of those primaries. You know, like, you know, just sort of like this sort of
absolutely, no doubt.
the low-hanging fruit, and they will give him credit for it. And it doesn't seem like anybody in the Senate is stepping up, but he's putting out stuff like, Bryan, do we have that on that sound sheet? The no more effing. Where Chuck
No, but I
Schumer's
can get it for you.
Yeah, just pull this.
Stop.
Bryan just, I guess, sent this to me just to see if I would have a heart attack. But the Chuck Schumer's out there, and it is just absolutely like, the level of incompetence and the complete, like, you can see in this statement that Chuck Schumer put out, you can almost see the money entering into the bank account of a consultant who, like, as the words come out of his mouth, it is like literally like a Venmo into a consultant's account. Do we have it?
Yeah, it's on his Instagram. So just give me a second here to have this playable. Put this up, Bryan.
You know, like, it is there. It's unclear who they think this is moving. I just don't understand.
It's a temperamental thing. It's like these are people who are absolutely terrified, I think, of taking a risk and, you know, getting out there and being blamed by somebody. I don't know who they're afraid of these days. I mean, David Brooks. I mean,
this is and we should be clear. I think, like, there is an incompetence and that is bred by this temperament, but that temperament also exists, I think, in the context, like, of a corporate mentality.
Oh, for
you know,
sure.
like, this is like, cover your ass and just don't stick your neck out. And that's the way you move up in the, yes. All right, here he is. This is him responding. This is, and I should say, folks, not safe for work. Not safe for work.
Noam and Stephen Miller are fucking liars. Any administration that allows them to continue in office is rotten to its core. The vote on appropriations is coming up Thursday night, and Democrats will not let the Republicans move forward if ICE and DHS funding are in the bill. Kristi Noam and Stephen Miller are fucking liars.
Ooh, he's
First of all, if Chuck Schumer was on Cameo, this is exactly what I would pay him to do, just to destroy Sam.
so true.
I can't find my glasses, but
my God.
first off, we should say that when would that come out? When was that posted?
The day I sent it to you, so like 3-4 days ago.
Okay, in that time, he already backed off that threat.
I know.
About
I know,
DHS
that's what's
funding.
hilarious. Yeah.
Now, I want you to know, I still consider them effing liars, and don't make me drop the F-bomb again.
They're now funded liars.
They're now funded liars. They are funded liars. Where's my glasses?
Oh my
Son of a
God.
gun.
It's God.
They're funded liars.
Oh my God.
Oh, I know that we funded them, but did you see what I called them? I called them. I swore. And where did I do it? On the social media. And therefore, I get all the points. Guess who won the internet today, honey? But it's insane. It's insane.
Oh,
like, he put that out 3 days ago, and he's making a funding deal.
Yeah. All
And the
right.
only thing that's holding it up, is Lindsey Graham is mad about the House bill that stripped the $500,000 payments to senators who were involved in January 6th, and their phone records got caught up in the investigation. And I suspect he's one of those people. And he's like,
no, he is.
I mean, you know, like, we're going to hold this thing up until he gets his 500 grand. I mean, this is.
Go ahead, put some money in a Cava paper bag and give it to him, because this is ridiculous. The idea that he would do this. I mean, didn't all the Republicans vote against this in the House? I mean, it seems to me. I mean,
yes, they stripped it from the bill in the House, and he wants it back in.
I can't believe it. Somebody said last night on Blue Sky, I think, that he, you know, he must have been drunk when he went. I mean, apparently he stormed into Thinn's office and said, absolutely, you know, I'm not going to let this happen. And I couldn't, at the time, I didn't realize it was over this.
I got news for you. I mean, if I was to lose 500 grand, I would probably be dancing around yelling at people shit-faced.
Yeah. I mean, you know, and by the way, the 500 grand, in case everybody doesn't know this, is at the discretion of Donald Trump's Justice Department. Pam Bondi and you know, Todd Blanche will be the people deciding whether or not they should get the 500 grand, because it would be considered a settlement, you see, and they could decide to settle the lawsuit. Trump could do the same thing for himself. You know, he just sued the IRS.
IRS and Treasury for $10 billion. I'll tell you what, guys. Listen, I'm going to huddle with your boss and see if we can knock out a settlement here. And I'll sit down. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to be good because I like your boss. And then we'll do 10 cents on the dollar. $1 billion for the plaintiff. And we'll call it a day. I mean, he's literally going to take money out of the Treasury and just put it in his pocket. No scheme. No, like, you know, like we don't have to do accounting stuff. We don't need to bring in the accountants. This means this is completely uncommissioned transfer of wealth.
It's unbelievable.
And also, you got to pay my lawyer fees because that's fair.
Needless to say, Needless to say. I mean, he's doing all this stuff out in the open. I mean, yeah, we could do hours on the corruption. I mean, literally hours. I researched a piece. I ended up not writing it, but I spent hours looking at this. It is beyond belief how much, and this is not just the crypto stuff. This is contracts that are going to his buddies.
Pardons.
The guy from Switzerland, I can't remember what company he was representing, came in and literally handed him a gold bar. And 2 days later, they gave his company a contract. In the interim, I'm sure he does one more thing to devalue the dollar. I just wanted. Yeah, that makes it a little bit.
Guess what, guys? I doubled the value of this gold bar you gave me.
Exactly. You know, so I mean, I guess it makes sense, doesn't it, that he's got gold all over the place? Although half of it's just gilt, you know, Home Depot bullshit. But you know, this is. I mean, it is. The amount of corruption is beyond belief. And he's told the New York Times, I don't know if everybody's read the New York Times interview with him that they did a couple weeks ago. Really worth looking at the whole thing. Read the whole thing. It's very long and really voluminous. You have to read it because it is the best insight I've seen in a long time into Donald Trump's current thinking and the way that he actually is approaching this. He just basically is just saying, you know, you only live once. I'm doing it. And he said, you know, they asked him about the corruption, about the kids doing the work, making deals overseas for the Trump organization, all that. And he said, yeah, in the first term, they told me I couldn't do it. And, you know, I realized nobody cared. So I said, fine, you do whatever you want. The kids have a right to do their thing. You know, I mean, this is the people that went after Hunter Biden for a job he had in Ukraine. You know, what was it, 8 years prior that he briefly held a job with some gas company in Ukraine, and they tortured that guy. I mean, they basically tortured him. And, you know, he can't even make a living. I mean, Hunter Biden is destroyed as a human being, not just because of that, but, you know, they piled on a guy who was already pretty fragile. And here you've got, you know, the Trump kids out there just making money hand over fist, selling Trump everywhere. And he personally is making money like this. And he just basically said to the New York Times, but yeah, I'm doing it. Yeah, nobody cares. I can do it.
And you know
I'm
what?
allowed.
He's right.
I'm allowed.
Yeah.
He's right. Nobody can do anything about it. And they filed a suit in the first term about the emoluments clause, right? I mean, and it totally legit. It was clear that he was taking bribes. Basically, he's taking bribes. I mean, that's just obvious. And so he loses the election in 2020. It was wending its way glacially through the courts, as everything does when it comes to him. And they go, well, it's moot now because he's out of office. Comes back into office, here we go again. It's like there's no accountability whatsoever for anything that he does along this line, and he knows it. He knows it. And so why shouldn't Lindsey Graham get his taste, huh? Shouldn't he wet his beak a little bit and get a little, $500,000?
Lindsey's been a good boy.
He's done everything right, and he deserves it.
I'm a little worried about his drinking, but
yeah, I don't know. Does he have a drinking problem? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but somebody said that. That makes sense to me. I mean,
I gotta think that after a certain while, they all have some. There's, I'm sure Lindsey has the skeletons in his closet, and
no, not Lindsey. He's totally above board. I mean, come on.
God knows what it takes for these people to get through a day.
He's a confirmed bachelor who just is dedicated to the, his country and serving. That's all it is.
He's married to the Constitution.
He is. He's married to the Constitution.
Oh, well, Heather, we finish all of these conversations. We finish all these conversations in the same way. Yeah.
I know. Every single time. And it just gets worse. I mean, we didn't even get to talk about Minneapolis, but I guess, we all know what's happening there. But
yeah. And,
one big shout out to the people of Minneapolis. I just have to say, you people are my inspiration and should be the inspiration to every Democratic politician in America.
100%. Couldn't agree more. And, now they've moved on to arresting the media. And so I'm sure we'll have more to talk about going forward. And
no doubt.
But Heather, as always, thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure.
Folks can read you obviously at Salon a couple of times a week, and
3 times a week, actually.
3 times a week, and of course at Hullabaloo, your Uber blog. At, is it still Digby says?
Digby'sblog.net.
Oh yeah, I don't even have to look at. I just
25 years.
I know that's all my browsers. As soon as I put DI in, it all just fills in by itself. Heather Parton
wanted me to change it, but I just went, I'm old school. OG
exactly. Heather Parton, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was great. Thanks.
All right, folks. It is Casual Friday, and we're trying to, it can't be every day, every moment about the horrors that exist in our society. Although I have no reason to believe that we're not going to be talking about the horrors in 5 minutes. But we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Bryan Quinby and Chris James, host of the Guys podcast. Let's find out what the guys are up to.
It's my masculinity sort of training podcast.
I'm trying to butch up a little bit. So let's get these guys on. We'll be right back after this. We are back. Sam Seder on the Majority Report. Emma Vigland out today. So casual on Friday for her. Joining us now, very excited to have on the program, Bryan Quinby and Chris James, host of the Guys podcast. Hey, guys.
Hey, I'm the host. Chris is the
I'm
co-host.
the co-host. My name's not even on it, which you'll notice. It's called Guys with Bryan Quinby. So, and it reflects in the pay. It reflects in every aspect of it.
That's how we do it around here. Emma's out today, but
yeah. But I feel like, I don't know. It seems strange. It feels like we do the same amount of work. We're on the same amount of, anyways, that's for the that's.
We don't do the same amount of work. I'm working all the time.
He was literally just on his 7th vacation of 2026 out in Miami.
I don't vacation that much. He thinks I vacation. I work when I go on vacation.
What do you do when you work on vacation?
Podcasts.
I mean, he doesn't. I guess he claims he gathers material, I guess, and that he like gets himself into hijinks that he can then talk about on the show.
I didn't get into hijinks this last time, except for like the weird Airbnb situation with.
What? Did you literally just come back from vacation at the beginning?
I just got back from Key West.
He was just in Florida for 10 days, and I was genuinely working during that time because I have to edit the episodes and stuff. And so I was sitting there working long hours, and he's posting all these photos like in the Florida Keys.
Yeah. I didn't like it there, though. I didn't like either place. So
there is a lot of guys in the Florida Keys.
Wait, you're in Key West and where?
Miami. I didn't enjoy either place.
What were you doing there?
I wanted to be warm for a week or so. And I usually
vacation. Okay, no, I get it.
Hey,
I'm really sorry you didn't enjoy yourself.
I did enjoy myself. Kind of
0 degrees out here.
Yeah, it's 16 here, but I did enjoy myself. I was like with my wife. I saw a bunch of alligators and stuff like that. I just thought the cities were bad, but I did.
He went when the national football championship was happening in Miami. That was when he picked to go.
I did not know that. I landed the 2 days before, and it was a nightmare.
Did you take vacation during Christmas too?
Oh yeah, well, of course he's got to take Christmas vacation.
It's kind of long. Our Christmas vacation is kind of absurd. I will say that. Like we usually go from December 13th to like next week. We start back next week with the real. We get in there and get the real work done starting sometime next week with Big Boobs Guys.
Yeah, we're doing an episode on Big Boobs Guys. Guys that are obsessed with big boobs.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So back to the grind.
Yes. I can't work on this. I usually work on a treadmill. I can't do this episode on a treadmill because I don't want people to walk in and think I'm just looking at big boobs because I'm not. I'm doing it for work.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, so you record your episodes while you're on?
He gathers the footage when he's like working out in his gym.
Scrolls his phone,
building.
right?
Yeah. I just sit and scroll my phone while I'm walking at an absurd incline. But like, I can't do that when I do an episode like Penis Guys or something like that because there's gonna be penises.
All right, I think this is an appropriate time to explain to people what the premise of your show is.
It's about guys. It's sociology. I did actually, for real. I went to school for sociology, and it just really. I'm not going to say it's smart because it's the dumbest show in the world and it's nasty, but it does. I go around. I find posts, Quora, different articles and stuff
about covering. Like each week, we cover a different group of guys that has made one thing their entire life, their entire personality. They base it all around one thing, and we kind of study how that makes you, alienates you from the rest of the world and makes you kind of a bizarre person. So yeah, we read their posts and arguments online, classic rock guys, whiskey guys,
guitar guys. And like, they all have problems with their wives. That's like the main thing.
My wife is mad that I have bought 17 guitars this year and we have issues paying our bills and things of that nature. Yeah.
One of the most famous things from the show was on the Guitar Guys episode where this guy was like, how am I supposed to, my wife keeps telling me I'm buying too many guitars, and like everybody's giving him advice. And one guy just goes, ask her how many hair straighteners she has. So like, Like women collect hair straighteners. And
17, what?
Well, they put them up on their wall behind them. Like they don't even play them all. It's like, yeah, that's right. It's when you
The hair
get
straighteners?
Well,
This
no,
is a 76 Revlon.
No, the guitars. But these guys are obsessed. Every time somebody's wife is like, "You're doing this too much," they always are like, ask her how many pairs of shoes she has. Like it's just anything a wife might have in a 50s sitcom.
Exactly. Incidentally, men also have shoes.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to let everybody know. We just
way
gotta do that qualification for people, just so they know. Men also have
a lot
shoes.
a lot more than my wife. A lot more.
Same here. I have a lot more shoes than my wife too.
The guys who we're dealing with are not. Yeah, they're not necessarily.
We're not into shoes though. We're not shoes guys. Don't.
No, I got you.
Take us. For that.
What kind of guys are you? Are you like, I know Bryan, you're kind of a Lego guy. Chris, have you identified with any kind of guys?
Well, I became a bowling guy. We did bowling guys and we covered it, and I remembered, hey, I kind of like bowling, so I got a ball and shoes, and I started going to this local bowling alley where nobody is taking it seriously. It's all like families and stuff, and I'm putting on my really shitty looking shoes and pulling out my custom ball, and then oftentimes bowling a much lower score than a family who's just in there enjoying themselves. But I got decent. I got my whole goal before the end of 2025 was to bowl a 210 pin, which is not that easy to do. And I did. I cracked it. I got a 200 on like the 29th of January. So I got decent.
That's pretty good. 200's pretty good. I mean, 300 is like
perfect
the top.
score.
Which I've bowled, actually. I haven't.
Bryan's got a ring from his dad, a 300 bowling ring he stole from his dad, and he is erroneously claiming to have bowled a 300. So
that's your Nobel Peace Prize?
Yeah. I don't know if erroneous is the right word. I think lying.
No, it's not a lie.
Nice.
My dad,
this
is what happened. This is what happened. I bowled a 300. They were out of rings. So my dad was like, here, you can have one of mine, and gave it to me. So that's how I got the
I mean, Bryan struggles. I've seen his bowling score. He struggles to hit triple digits. In fact, I had a terrible game when I was bowling, and I was like, "Holy shit, I'm like at Bryan level right now." That's what I was thinking in my head.
What about let's talk. Matt wanted me to ask about the Alien Guys episode. When was this Bill Maher clip from, Matt?
Oh, well, this is a new clip, I think, that we haven't seen.
I thought we'd sort of use the Alien Guys to explain the premise, but they sort of did that. But we have a new Alien guy, which is I know a guy that Bryan and Chris are familiar with, which is Bill Maher. And
we love
him. We have a short clip here of him talking about aliens.
Is it on his show where he gets drunk where he's drunk and stoned? I love the show where he gets extremely drunk and stoned and then explains how he's an alcoholic sex addict for an hour.
It looks to me like the aliens kind of want us to know that they're here. It doesn't look like they're hiding it much anymore. They may be saying, Jesus Christ, these people are taking a long time to come around to what is fairly obvious, you know. And as I said to you on Real Time,
this guy's been on multiple times
now. I'm not upset about it because
outlet.
obviously they have the capability to do great harm, and they're not. They seem to be just monitoring. That could change.
The reality of it is, like, we've evolved technologically at a really rapid pace over the last 80 years, but our morals haven't, right?
Right.
We're still invading sovereign nations. We're still threatening nuclear war.
Right.
We're a violent species.
They may be in the process of deciding.
Can I say that thing when you get really high and you kind of don't see anything or hear anything? That's where he's at. He's so high there.
Yeah, have you guys watched his show? It's actually I was on a podcast called I Hate Bill Maher. Somebody has a whole podcast.
What's it about?
It's Will Weldon, who's a really funny comedian, and we watched the episode of Bert Kreischer, The Machine. I don't know if Sam, if you know Bert Kreischer, the topless comedian.
The topless comedian?
He takes his shirt off when he does his comedy.
Okay.
And I went and saw him live in Vancouver to a huge crowd, and he comes out to Fortunate Son, and before he even says a word, rips his top off, and the crowd goes insane. Like they just saw like a last second touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like it is the biggest response I've ever seen for anything. But yeah, he was talking to Bill Maher, and they were discussing their alcoholism. And it was really remarkable how fucked up Bill Maher it gets, like really early in the episodes. And yeah, I guess he's like got that confidence about him where he doesn't, because I would feel embarrassed if I got that fucked up and went on like a live show.
No, you wouldn't.
In that
Really?
vein, did you see when David Spade was on and he goes, "You're one of the only guys I could talk to about dating young girls." And David Spade goes, "Well, no, not anymore. No, I'm a lot older now."
Yeah.
The Kreischer thing. Chris went to see Burt Kreischer, so I, as a olive branch to him, I've decided that possibly I might go see Jim Brewer when he performs across the street from me, and get VIP passes so I can get a picture with him.
I've decided that he's coming to town. He's not coming to Canada, unfortunately. That's a big issue with all the problems we're having between America and Canada. We're missing out on some of your best comedians. They won't come here anymore.
Brewer. I can't. I want to go, but I want my wife to go because I want somebody that doesn't know that Jim Brewer's bad and crazy to be there with me
and just videotape her the whole time, just to watch her reaction as she's totally like it becomes clear to her. It probably wouldn't take long. We've actually got a new clip of Jim Brewer because we
from the Bruniverse.
Yeah. What do you call it? The Bruniverse?
Oh,
is that
at the show?
Oh, right.
Okay. My wife, the Bruniverse. He's got a bunch of young kids. No, they're like 17, 19-year-old kids or something that are like running his boards and stuff. And he's doing a show in a.
There's the guys.
Right. Oh my God. We've played a bunch of these, like where he's doing, sort of his Rupert Pupkin thing, where he's like, doing stand up and. These, and so those are the kids who are on the
Brew
board.
Boys. They call them the Brew Boys. He'll be like, he'll make a reference or something, and it's clear they have no idea, right? It's like they're on a completely different generation, and we're trying to figure out who they. I think he's got daughters, so they might be like daughters' boyfriends. They come over. And you're like, so we're gonna watch something up here. You got to go help my dad with something.
They're trying to become heirs to the Jim Brewer fortune.
The Goat Boy
fortune.
Well,
which
Chris,
I have a action figure of Goat Boy in my office.
Chris has a theory about Goat Boy, right?
Oh, my theory is that about Jim Brewer is that if you guys remember Goat Boy from Saturday Night Live, my theory is.
Are you kidding? Of course.
One thing
But my theory is that Goat Boy is the real guy, and Jim Brewer is a character that the Goat Boy does.
But yeah, those young men, because we had wondered forever who those guys were. And then they showed them, and Chris was like, "Well, we probably shouldn't show this. They're his sons." And then somebody in the chat was like, "No, they're not his sons. He has daughters." And now we're just like, why are 17-year-olds helping Jim Brewer do his weird basement?
I have an idea. I think it has to do with like the $350 an hour that he pays.
You can use the gaming PC. Yeah,
exactly.
That's what it seems like too. That because one guy, I don't know why he needs 3 people. By the way, like he needs one of them to say. He needs just one of them to tell him to stop messing around with the microphone while he does.
He makes the mic. It makes all these noises when he holds it.
Yeah, because he walks around like Freddie Mercury with like half a mic stand.
He's got so much. He's got all that energy and stuff. And then he went on Kill Tony recently.
Chris's favorite show, Kill Tony.
My favorite show, the Kill Tony podcast. And he's like, man, I told these young guys about Kill Tony that I was on it. They were going crazy. And then they're like, yeah, I guess we've heard of it.
So this clip here is prominently features the Brew Boys, and It's actually shocking because Jim looks great in it, which it might be a little bit unbalancing. But
we're trying to throw you a curveball here, guys.
You can pause him at any Sam. You can pause him at any time, and it looks crazy. Like
He's
there's no
king.
He's the
He's
pause
known as
king.
the pause king, where it doesn't matter where you pause him, he looks completely insane in a totally unique way every time.
Here's the Brew Boys trying to give Jim something they'll think he'll approve of, and his reaction is not what they're expecting.
We'll start with you, Kyle.
All right, have you seen what's been going on in Venezuela? I mean, the U.S. went in, we did.
I know it happened.
All right, but did you see what the White House put out after the fact?
No. What they put out?
All right, let me show you.
You can't tell me?
No, you're going to
I'm going to like it?
Yeah.
Why am I going to like it? It's hilarious?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Venga por mí. Aquí no esperan Miraflores. No se tarden en llegar. ¡Cobarde!
And now, if you don't know, now you
The White House put this out?
Uh-oh.
This is okay. You can't tell me the leaders of the world are just like, all right, I say we totally release this, and like what? This is Kardashians. This is what are we watching, a Netflix special? Like this? It means nothing to me. This is goofy.
Take his shirt off.
Oh boy. Yeah, I mean,
does he go on and wait? Does he? What I wanted to know where he goes with this.
Yeah, we'll go a little bit more. Yeah.
Goofy. I got nothing to say about it. What do you think about this? Be honest. What do you think about this? What is your generation think about all this that's going on? What do you think we were doing? First of all, do you think it really happened? Let's start with that.
I don't.
Do you think it really happened?
Is so young.
That guy in the middle is. If that kid, I don't think that kid shaves yet.
Yeah, he's not. He's in high school. There's no way that kid's in college. He's just.
No.
I have a daughter in college. I know what a college kid looks like, and that guy looks 17. Which is why is he? Where did he find these guys? That's the thing. Like, was he waiting?
I mean, it could
outside?
be his intern. I don't. I mean, but it's. I can't wait. What's amazing is that I'm not sure that anybody knows anything beyond that video. And so Brewer's asking their opinion, and they're going to be like, I don't know. And Brewer's going to be like, I don't know. But the video's ridiculous. Wait, what?
What it is. No one has any information on it at all. So then you just get this guy who's kind of confused. People are saying he's drunk. I don't know. This is how he is, I think.
I think it's, yeah.
But he's just kind of like lost in his thoughts. And there's a lot of dead air and stuff, which, by the way, this is not a live thing. He could have cut out that stuff. But
he's also. Can I say he's mad at? I don't know if you know this, Sam. He's really mad at Ron DeSantis.
Oh, yes, because of the chemtrails. I mean, I'm not.
Don't worry, we do research over here.
Yeah, I know.
He chemtrails.
No, we
is his
follow. I
main
mean,
thing.
listen, we don't have the chemtrail problem up here in New York State because Hochul's. Let's play. I want to watch a little more and see where he goes with this because I want to see this. Because a 17-year-old kid like this, he could put this on his college resume. Like I explained Maduro to Jim Brewer,
and he was not happy with me.
He got mad. Yeah.
A red hat, I'm exaggerating, but it's all different outfits and all that. And it's a great, it's great distraction away from Epstein list. It's a great distraction away from the Gaza Strip and people getting blown to pieces. And we're going to build a really nice real estate.
Jim, right?
It's a nice distraction from people getting murdered and who's on the Epstein list going, how old are you, child? They'll never find out.
That's also how he hired his producers.
We got the devil. We didn't get the British guy, but we did get the devil.
Yeah, he's
the British guy is
the British guy and the devil. The British guy, anytime there's someone who's like prim and proper or whatever, he'll do a British guy, and then he loves to do the devil for some reason. You know, he just loves to screech into the microphone like that. But yeah,
the British guy
his
is
politics are weird because.
I mean, those are, like kudos to him. I mean, like everything. I mean, I don't know that it's just a distraction from the Epstein files, but it is its own thing. But the idea that he's like calling out what's happening in Gaza and the Epstein files in themselves, I mean,
yeah, he's fully. And here's the part a little bit later in the clip where he talks about the Trump administration and basically offers a mea culpa.
Where? But I'm not getting involved in a whole, hey, we're number one. I'm done with that. I'm done with it. I was done with it a long time ago. I feel like I got Trojan horsed by the current administration, totally Trojan horsed. They ain't about peace. It disturbs me. It's evil. It's evil. I choose love over evil. And that's the best I can tell you. I'm not getting into this clown show.
That poor 17-year-old.
I mean,
I feel like he right now, if Trump saw this clip, he would have an easy go in on him though, because he'd do the old Barney Frank. Because look at, he's got them nipples protruding.
Yeah,
he kind of looks all nasty in that shirt. But yeah, he's. I don't know when Trump lost him, but yeah, he's. Maybe because Trump's not talking about chemtrails, possibly.
Yeah. I think it's 90% of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I do believe
the EPA commissioner is talking about chemtrails, so he should be a little validated.
Yeah, but Bryan, the planes are still flying above Florida.
You're right.
So
yeah,
it was all talk, no walk.
You go to Naples, Florida, you can't get away from the chemtrails there.
I don't know. Maybe he's just sort of crazy in some fashion, but like what? I'm curious if he represents a political perspective. There are other people going out there. You know, I listen to Brewer because obviously he's hugely funny, but also I am 1-to-1 on. I'm with him on all his. We sync up almost perfectly. I wonder if there's like 2 or 3 people who say that.
Yeah,
there are.
Right.
I read the comments on his posts all the time. But you know, what they remind me of is the people really close after 9/11 that got really into loose change and weren't really Republicans or Democrats, but then they all turned into Ron Paul guys.
Right.
And,
Who, by the way,
don't say it.
Bryan door knocked for.
I didn't door knock for Ron Paul. I had a sign in my yard for Ron Paul. Listen, it was a quick thing. It was fast.
Did you paint the town, Ron?
I wanted drugs.
He wanted drugs to be legal.
I was really, really addicted to pills at that time, and I was like, imagine if I could go to the grocery store and get these things.
So material. You had a material. It was like your politics were informed by material needs, and he had a policy to provide for it.
I will say this. I do want to say I listened in 2003. I was listening to like Rush Limbaugh and shit like that in my van when I was working. And then I seriously, no bullshit, started listening to the Majority Report in 2004. And that was like what turned me into
that's
from Ron
common.
Paul.
That's common, I think. Rush Limbaugh to Majority Report.
The Limbaugh to Majority Report pipeline was pretty pronounced, particularly in
I'll say what I think happened. This George W. Bush guy, I was training him at the cable company, and every day he was bringing me stacks of paper.
Oh, not literally George W. Bush. Okay, okay.
No, he would bring me these stacks of paper and be like, this is proof of the WMDs and all this stuff. And I think I hated that guy so much. I was just like, I'm not Republican anymore. And then Air America launched, and I was listening to it all day. I would like download it. Sorry.
Oh, that's awesome.
And listen to it. So you did change me back then and then turn me into this, which is
Well, that's pretty impressive.
prominent
because
leftist.
He used to, he was like, we're talking pilled out cable guy. Once drove the cable truck on top of someone's car, crashed it into a ditch. Was just like in a violence gang. He was.
I
like
wasn't in a violence
a
gang.
proper dirtbag. He went by Queeber. His name
Oh,
was Queeber.
don't say that on
time.
here.
So to rescue a guy like that, that's actually
pretty
feel
good.
Pretty good
Oh,
about
well,
that.
that's great. How do you guys know each other? Just from
Bryan used to have a show called Street Fight Radio that he did. That was a politics show, and he did a series called Shocktober.
Did you call in as a fake caller? And
no,
no.
I wish.
no, I never did that. I came on on Shocktober. We started doing Felix Biederman from Chapo and Bryan and myself did a series called Shocktober that we still do now every October, where we cover shock jocks like Bubba the Love Sponge and Man Cow Mueller and people like that. The Grease Man, who's one of our favorites. I don't know.
Grease Man, holy shit!
He's still out there,
He's
Sam,
still out
and he's
there,
doing
Sam.
it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
he's
don't
doing
think I've listened to him
cameos.
in 30 years.
Oh, that's when he was in his heyday, but he does cameos now, and most of the
He was in
cameos
DC at that time.
Yeah,
DC
yeah,
101.
DC
I
101.
used to listen to him in the morning at DC when I was like 18. I was working in the Hill, and I used to listen to the Grease Man.
Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know the Grease Man, one thing is like on Futurama, Zap Brannigan or whatever, that character that Billy West did was based on that voice. Like he was basing his voice partially on the Grease Man. He would do these crazy, like wild, wacky voices. But yeah, he still does cameos now. It's one of the saddest things ever. He's extremely elderly.
He must be like in his 80s.
He's almost as old as the camera is close to his face when he records a cameo.
And most of his cameos are from us.
From people
We
in
don't
our
buy them.
Yeah, like people who watch our channel or listen to our show, they'll get them to say a bunch of silly stuff or whatever. But
Stuff
yeah,
about swingers and stuff like that.
yeah,
Like they
Sam,
try
what do
to
you know about the pineapple lifestyle?
I barely I just remember. I honestly, like, if you guys had not brought him up, I would certainly have passed away without ever thinking about him again. And I'm trying to I just remember the Grease Man. I just remember the name of the Grease Man. I remember he was like a morning guy.
He was the biggest.
I feel like I won tickets to the Dead and Tom Petty and Bob Dylan that summer from him.
That's incredible.
It's
What did
so
you
cool.
did you have to let him tell your wife that she was going to give him a snarling or something?
I don't know what
That
it
was one of
was.
his big things is he'd have people give the phone to their wife in bed, and then he would say really horrible things to them.
Yes, I remember that. My God.
He got fired twice for extreme racism. Like in a way that was like the first time he got fired, it was insane. The stuff
That's how
he
you
said.
built a career in that era, I think.
But the second time was the second time was like
I mean, it was pretty abhorrent stuff that he said, but yeah, which was kind of wild, right? Because he's this wacky kind of guy, right? He wasn't a political person, so he was this wacky dude who then came out and was like showed himself to be this really bad racist and never really recovered. He started doing a call out show where he was like, it was like he paid for his time and he would literally, people would give him the numbers and he would call them. And we have one clip we love to play where the guy's just like, I'm just heading out the door, actually, Grease Buddy. You don't really have time to talk to you. And that was kind of the vibe of it. Really sad.
I do say
that is an amazing idea for a show, though. It's just like calling people who don't want to talk to you. Like, no, listen, I'm on the radio. I really need to. Okay, all right. Well, I'll catch you later.
I have 20 hours of the Grease Man on my computer right now. If you ever need Grease Man, content,
I think I've been satiated by just like remembering him. I think that's enough.
Do you listen to any other? Did you listen to any other like No, I guess Man Cow.
I know Man Cow. I definitely listened to Man Cow because he was right wing by the time I listened to him. But I would listen to a lot of right wing talk radio. When and then like Nori, I would do Coast to Coast, mostly with Nori, a little bit with Art Bell. I mean, I listen to a lot of talk radio as like over
Bubba
the
the
years.
Love Sponge, no Bubba the Love Sponge.
You aren't a Bubba the Love
of course.
I remember
Hulk
Bubba the
Hogan's
Love-
friend.
Yeah, Hulk's buddy. Who?
Well,
But a lot of times when I was listening to radio was also like, you know, when you actually had to listen on radio. Like there was no you know, like Phil Henry before, you know, like early Phil Henry. Although at that time, I think you get CDs too after a while.
Yeah, well, those guys would put out CDs always. That was a huge thing. They would put out compilations, and they'd be like clips.
I have those
from the
too. I
show.
have this,
Yeah, I've got them. Brian's got, people send us all this stuff.
I have this Green Man record that somebody sent me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the lawman.
And why is it within arm's reach of you?
Because I had to show I had to show it on a stream recently.
It was like Greaseman came out of nowhere and it's I just the album right here.
Well, Greaseman comes up with me anytime me and Chris talk.
Yeah, same as, and I mentioned it before, but it's like the pineapple lifestyle. That's
and Man
what,
Cow.
You sort of dodged that one, Sam, but I was asking you what you know about the pineapple lifestyle.
I
That's
don't.
the swinger lifestyle. You don't
Upside
know
down
anything.
pineapple, yeah.
Why do they call it the pineapple lifestyle?
We don't know.
Like
but if
I
you
don't
see,
know.
Never.
If you see an upside down pineapple, though, genuinely, like if you see an upside down pineapple anywhere, that means that it's like a swinger friendly place, or that's a reference to swinging and pineapple stuff. That was our first episode we ever did. We covered this like swinger couple that goes to sex clubs and gives tours and stuff. So it's unfortunately become like a big part of our show. You know, regardless of if we want it to
You're
or not.
strongly associated with the lifestyle.
Yeah, we're strongly associated with the pineapple lifestyle. Even though I'm we're both married and in, you know,
That's a big
monogamous.
MAGA thing, right?
Wait. Why would that in any way inhibit the pineapple lifestyle?
Chris
seems
is
like a
kind of a
prerequisite.
swinger. Yeah, Chris is kind of a swinger.
I mean, listen, there's only one of us who, Brian used to actually attend sex parties, and that's true. He claims he never went upstairs. He said, no, I stayed downstairs. I'm like, well, you're still at a sex party, you know?
What was the difference between downstairs and upstairs at the sex party?
Where the sex was happening is upstairs.
Oh, I see.
I would go to my friend Porno Sean's house on Friday nights, and we'd all be hanging out.
Did you say Porno Sean?
Porno Sean, he was gathering porno to open a porno shop.
Okay.
So he was gathering large quantities of pornography in high school.
I asked
For
him
business
how.
reasons.
I asked him why he kept buying porno one time, because every time we went, he would stop and buy some porno, and he was like, "I'm going to open up a porno store in Buckeye Lake." He's like, "There are no porno stores there." It's
He saw a huge, he saw a big hole in the
hole in the
market.
market.
And he's just like, yeah, people love porno. I mean, look how much I love it. So people must
but I would go to his house and we'd all be partying, and then people would start disappearing upstairs. And once, you know, enough people were upstairs at the orgy, it's like me and my wife were like, let's get out of here. You know, we jump in the car and take off because there's nobody to talk to because they're all up doing an orgy. But I wasn't at the orgy. I was just at the party that turned into it. And I even would say I was at the party when it was a party, not when it was an orgy. So
But he went back to the party again, knowing that that's what it was going to become.
Well, the first part of the port, you're just more comfortable with the first part of the sort of the four party.
Well, I'm
the
guessing.
I like the
Yeah,
beginning of the party. It's
doing
fun.
drugs and stuff. Yeah, that's fair.
All my friends were there.
Mm-hmm. But Sam, you know nothing about it. You've never even been to like a swinger club or anything like that.
No, I have not actually. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm not kink shaming in any way. I just have never. I'm just not even aware. I didn't. Now that I know about the pineapple, maybe things will start to pick up for me a little bit. I'm sure I've seen the upside down pineapple.
It's funny because we found on YouTube there are so many videos of tours of sex clubs, and like they're all glossy and done really well.
Yeah, they're very high production value. It's like seven, so they make them look very good. But then we found the channel. I don't even want to say them because you guys are a really big show. I don't want people to go bother them. But we found this couple who they show you the real nitty gritty of what it are. They don't have the production. They don't have the good lighting. They show you what it actually is, and they are haunting. There's one of them where you look it up on Google Maps, and it's just like this giant barn on the side of a highway. But the inside is like this wild sex club. So yeah, we learned all kinds.
You're gonna
of
have to
stuff.
send us a link after the show. It's too.
I've seen the Oasis store. Yeah, the EC Oasis store is just so crazy because it's like none of the walls go up to the ceiling, so you can go into these little rooms. But then when
ventilation, Sam.
Oh yeah, of course. No, you need circulation.
But they'll go into these little rooms and there'll be a bed with like 2 condoms on it, and it just looks so scary. A towel and 2 condoms.
It really looks like found footage horror. It looks like found footage horror.
It's so badly lit and painted. It's like really bad. And then like they'll go into a room and there'll be like a gynecologist table and stuff. And you're like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't like it. You know what I mean? And like in the middle of it, they have an orgy couch.
But we cover a lot of stuff, Sam, on the show.
No, we
a lot
don't.
of different stuff. We
Mostly the sex clubs.
Yeah, we cover all every week. We just what was the most recent one that we did, Brian? What was the
Food Network guys?
Food Network guys. So we'll just we do a lot of non-sexual stuff. I just for people listening, it's not like if you listen to a main episode, we're not going to be talking about sex stuff the whole time.
That's on the Patreon mostly.
On the Patreon
days. And the first few episodes of the show where we were obsessed.
Now, is YouTube? No, YouTube.
We don't have YouTube.
No, we need to do that.
We started a YouTube channel, but we don't have any. It's Brian and I are the only people who do the show. Like we don't have a crew of people or anything like that. So I don't know. I think maybe we should have people to help us, and then we could do stuff like that. But yeah, we're just on iTunes and Spotify and all that stuff. Yeah.
Maybe the Brew Crew, a couple of guys from the Brew Crew, like they can't.
When I was on vacation, I was telling my wife about Jim Brewer
Which
when
time?
we were driving. The last time when we were driving to the Keys, and she was like, "What's this show called? Brouhaha?" And I was like, "No, that makes sense. Like that's actually makes sense. No, it's called the Bruniverse, which doesn't make any sense in any world at all. It's crazy. You can think of 5 better names for his podcast than he did."
All right, let's do it. No, I'm just joking.
So maybe next week on the Guys podcast, 5 alternate names for Brewers podcast. There it is.
Okay, we'll do it by Sunday. I'll make Chris do it.
Next week we're actually covering it. We've already recorded it. We're doing Bald Guys, which is quite an interesting episode. Bald.
And we
guys.
follow with Big Boobs guys after that, just because sometimes we got to go back to our roots, you know. Just guys that love big boobs.
Bryan, Quinby, Chris James, been a lot of fun, guys. We'll put
speaking of big boob stories, Sam, Brian, when he was younger, he used
no.
He used to suck on a girl's titties for 3 hours instead of having sex.
Why did you do
It just
that?
reminded me of it. He hates when I tell that to people he admires, and I just know he's a really big fan of yours, so I wanted to mention that.
That's a legit panic in your eyes when he started that story. Made me laugh so hard.
Every time he did it with Tim Heidecker. He did it with
Tom Sharp.
He did it to Joe Pera Joe Pera was on.
Yeah, so I'm
just
to go.
like,
You guys have a format you got to follow. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'm sure she enjoyed. I'm sure she enjoyed.
Well, no, she wanted him to do more. She was clearly, anyways.
We will put a link to the Guys podcast in our podcast and YouTube description. Bryan, Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right, folks. Well, I guess we're going to do a Freebie Friday today, right?
Seems like it.
We select Chris on the, that was fun.
That's one of my favorite shows.
It seems a real shame to go back to the news.
You want to ease in with this Trump clip about Canada and their relationship with China?
Yes. Apparently, Donald Trump is mad that Canada signed this deal. It was 3 weeks ago now with Canada about EV cars. And then Carney speaking at Davos, suggesting that the world order as led by the United States is over. Which is not to say that he doesn't want sort of the same type of neoliberal type of structure of the world. It's just that he just doesn't think the United States is going to be the basis of it, and they're going to find a new one. And then today, Trump met with Alberta separatists. We were talking about Bannon earlier in the program. Bannon is convinced that is now starting to say we need Canada for security reasons. And again, it's hard to know. Like the whole Greenland thing seems to have dissipated. Who knows who got paid what for what in that instance. The Canada thing, again, is unclear. Like what it's the idea that we're going to have like new states that are going to be Canada or Canadian provinces is bizarre, but this is the universe in which they live in. And Canada was, talking about putting some type of tariffs or restrictions on airplanes. And so Trump threatened 50% tariffs on Canadian airplanes, but it's taco Trump to some extent. But here is Trump talking about Canada.
Go ahead. Mr. President, what do you think about the UK getting into business with China? Keir Starmer is in Beijing.
Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that, and it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada is not doing well. They're doing very poorly, and you can't look at China as the answer. I know China very well. I know President Xi's a friend of mine. I know him very well, but that's a big hurdle to go over when you get Canada. The first thing they're going to do is say you're not allowed to play ice hockey anymore. That's not good. Canada's not going to play.
That face is right.
That's the
First
danger
order.
for Canada to get in bed with China. You won't be able to play ice hockey anymore.
He talks to us like we're children. Like there'll be no more ice cream.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the most shocking things he said in as we've been marking his decline. Like that, how does that even operate in his head? How could China make Canada not play hockey anymore?
We don't need to play it, but another good one Trump said the other day was yesterday or today. He said that he hired Doug Burgum because he saw a video of his wife and thought she was attractive, and that's how he got a hold of Doug Burgum.
I didn't know where to rate him until I saw his wife.
His wife is at least a 9.
Maybe should we take phone calls? Let's do.
I can go call in 1 second.
Oh, let's do the Homan thing too, though. I want to talk about this. Let's. I don't know if we have time for calls. We'll get there.
Speaking of fortunate son.
Yeah, Tom Homan has come in. He's talking about pulling out of Minnesota the ice surge. I don't know if it's worth believing as much as it is, trying to be a little more low key about these things. But listen to the way he talks about this. I want to remind you, Tom Homan was a cop, and then he worked for Customs Border Patrol. He has never been in the military. I mean, like a military person, it could cut both ways, right? You get used to certain military jargon, and you express it you express it in contexts that aren't necessarily military, or you'd be sensitive to using military terms and stay away from it. But Tom Homan embodies the entire cosplay quality of ICE, of all of it. I mean, it is all so much about guys wishing that they had been something else and being that thing. But you can see the insecurity again with the masks. But here's Tom Homan announcing a bit of a drawdown.
Can you please be specific about how many ICE and how many Border Patrol agents are currently operating in the state?
I think we're there 3, around 3,000. There's been some rotations. Another thing I witnessed when I came here, I'll share this with you. I met with a lot of people, a lot of the agents. They've been in theater. Some of these people have been in theater for 8 months. So there's going to be rotations of personnel. Hopefully less now that we have some agreements, maybe we can make it more efficient and safe. But they've been in theater a long time, and so there's rotations happen all the time to get people out here and go home, get some rest and see their families. Day after day, you can't eat in restaurants, day after day, having people spit on you and blow whistles at you day after day. having all these threats at you, day after day, having people trying to interfere with you, day after day. They're human. So we've got to rotate these people, and we've already rotated some. But my main focus now is drawdown, based upon the great conversations I've had with your state and local leaders. Again, I'm not a fool. I'm not walking away without seeing this put in place. But I take the word of the people I met with. I think they're honest, and I think they're good brokers, that they want public safety protected, and they also want what's happening in the city to go away. And that's my goal.
Now, let's just start with that last line. They want public safety and they want what's happening in the city to go away. I think the latter, what's happening in the city, is referring to the ICE people. Like, there is a difference between public safety and the invasion of the ICE people. I mean, now it's unclear what it is that he's negotiated from Minneapolis officials or Minnesotan officials. I don't know. But the idea that, like, these guys are like, they've got the 1,000-yard stare. They've been out there. They've been in the shit. And now they're coming back. Like,
Verdun.
Blowing whistles.
We give them a couple of weeks in Hanoi. And they're just going to get some R&R. We're going to send them to Hawaii for some R&R so they get some downtime. These guys have just been, they've been through the meat grinder. I mean, you have no idea. You have no idea what it is. When
You can't even go to TGI Fridays.
imagine how many mothers they ripped from their children, and they're going to hear the children cry over and over again. You never start to wear it down.
It's great that we're in a theater like it's the Pacific.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the whole point. Like, this guy's like talking like it's. They've been at the front lines of this. There's so many elderly women that they've had to tackle. They've had to see babies crying that they made cry.
Accidental times they've tear gassed themselves.
There's only so many times when you can smash a car window and not have it like just tear you apart inside.
There's only so many skulls you can punch before you break a knuckle.
And I mean, this is just a broader thing about priorities. Like, all these the people who are ICE agents. Adam Johnson said this. It's basically a revolt of the unemployable against the unemployed. But you look at what we're doing as a country. There's huge portions of the South, millions of people that had to go days and days without power.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're deploying these chuds, some of them probably from the Nashville area, to Minnesota to get whistles blown in their ears, and occasionally to shoot citizens of that city. A brainless, fever we're in right now as a country.
$500 million on military deployments of the National Guard deployments. I'm not talking about ICE. Billions and billions of dollars on the ICE deployments. And for I mean, look, they have a different agenda. Yeah. And so the calculation that you bring up about where we're not spending money is meaningless to them. Mm-hmm. They Stephen Miller, and obviously with Trump's blessing and with the blessing of the entire Republican Party, wants to purify this country as part of his sort of ethno-nationalist, racist agenda. He wants to purify it. And he will start with the easiest elements of non-white people he can. And that's immigrants. And yeah, there'll be some white immigrants that get swept up in that. And then he will just keep moving to not undocumented. He's already moved into documented immigrants. They're going to roll back temporary protected status for Haitians in this country. And I think it's happening sometime in February. The day after, you're going to see them pour into Springfield, Ohio, and round up all of those Haitians that they claimed were eating cats and dogs. this is going to keep going. It's going to keep going. And, I don't know if every community is going to be able to fight back like the way that Minneapolis did. I mean, I don't, I don't know what it was about Minneapolis, the people, the structure of the community. I mean, but they're a model, and certainly activists are going to learn from it. But I mean, it took more than activists. Just people just came out in Minneapolis.
Minneapolis, place with recent history of that, obviously with George Floyd, for instance, but even going back to general strike back in the 30s.
Yeah. So general strike happening today. I know that my son was part of a walkout at his school. And I think it's, I don't know. I guess people can argue as to whether, it's good to call for a general strike nationally a week before. But I think there's some muscles maybe that need to be built. And we'll have more to say about it on Monday when we get like sort of a notion of exactly what went down.
Did you see this high school student struck by a vehicle?
Oh yeah,
number
let's
9?
let's play this. This is out of Nebraska, and Fremont High School. People were protesting the ICE stuff, and a MAGA driver. We know he had a big flag on the back, and to be fair, has turned himself in. They were kids, right? I mean, the driver.
Yeah, he looks like a teenager.
Yeah. Yes.
But just take a look at this. This is what, this is what people are learning. This is
exactly
this is
where
what
the
they're
parents
learning.
at. Yep.
And imagine, I just want to imagine, like, if this driver was a black kid, you'd already be hearing calls to arrest the parents.
Right.
I think do we have another angle of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrible. I don't think we need to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, apparently the person in the vehicle was circling a few times and then got out to, I guess, engage with the protesters, and then drove off like that and smacked that girl and then drove off. And yeah, like you said, turned himself in. But he looked like a teenager. I don't think he bought that vehicle himself. If I had to guess, maybe. And with a Trump flag on, like it's been 10 years of sort of conservative adults in this country, frankly, poisoning, especially young men, and how they sort of relate to this country in a way that's, has huge impacts. Like you see the gender divide politically for Gen Z is like huge. I would have never have thought it could get so imbalanced between like young men, basically right wing, and young women not. And it's going to come to a head. And I don't know. I'm just sick of this crap.
Yeah. It's not going away. Here is, what should we play here? Let's play number 11. This is a county employee, and she is basically, this is the kind of stuff that we need from people who have the confidence of like, being a county employee or being a city employee or something like that. This is going to be helpful. I mean, obviously we need this from community members, but anybody in a position to at least put their authority up against ICE's, it's extremely helpful. And here is do we even know the name of the woman?
Yeah, her name is Nicole Helget, and she works at Nicollet County, southwest of Minneapolis, very rural county. And she posted this. Her husband posted this, so it's all fine to say her name.
Okay, let's.
Hi, I work for the county. If you have a specific person in mind, like I can likely help you get that person out of here. These families they're scared to death, and most of them are just like, what's that? Because you guys keep coming in there, and you know everything in the news shows you just showing up and popping people in the face and knocking down doors. Okay, so let me just say, if you have a person, let us help you. I know just about every family in here. We don't need to be spending taxpayer money like this. We do not need to be tormenting little children. I mean, I know that some of you people were at one of my houses up here knocking on the door and impersonating local police and telling him to open the door. Yes, you were.
No.
Maybe not you, sir, but some of your cohorts were. I was on the phone with the family when it happened. So don't tell me I'm lying. Now give me a name. I will go and get that for you and bring it here. And I'll save the taxpayer probably. How much are you guys spending today? I know you don't. Who's paying out what people? You think these guys are on somebody's salary? Get your head out of your ass. Give me the name. I will go get the person for you right now. So that tells me you're not really interested in doing law enforcement here today. Then why aren't you targeting? You come in here and you're knocking on 5 different houses. You don't know shit. What house is he in? Where does he live? What did he do? What crime? He's what? Let me see it. I will go get him for you.
We don't have to. Everybody thinks to have that. We haven't a warrant or anything unless you're an immediate family member. We don't have to show you nothing.
Sir, I am trying to help you.
I understand.
I will go get him. He would probably. You shot 2 Minnesotans in the last 10 days.
First of all, I haven't shot.
You're in the wrong line of work then, because you represent ICE. Every single one of you. You are not an independent contractor. You are likely a very poorly trained individual who is now part of this goon squad we have running around this state.
Listen, we're done with this conversation. We're going to continue our operation.
This is a waste of taxpayer money.
That's your opinion.
You know, she was offering to help find the people they're looking for. And the reason why she's making this offer, she knows they're not looking for anybody specifically. They would need a judicial warrant. And to get that judicial warrant, they need a name of somebody. Instead, they're going to areas where they suspect there might be undocumented and even documented immigrants. Ones who are in, some type of process, getting a work visa, getting even citizenship, whatever it is. And then they will round them up. And with the undocumented ones, they will deport them immediately. With the ones who are documented going through process, they will put them in detention centers that are not just internment camps, but like torturous. No heat. Crappy food, no medicine, and they will wait until these people come and say, okay, I'm willing to give up the process that I've been following and you can deport me because it's so miserable here. That's the strategy. That is the strategy they're following.
She called their bluff.
And she called their bluff, their bluff. And of course, that's it.
I'm shocked by how much the Pam Bondis and Caroline Leavitt and Trump, they still like to emphasize as if they're only going after hardened criminals. They say, look at why are they protecting rapists? We just want to. People need. I guess it needs repeating every time that under Obama, under Trump the first time, under Joe Biden, like there has never been a conspiracy to prevent people who have committed crimes here, if they're undocumented, from facing justice on that. The question is, do we need a federal force to go after the people who are just here undocumented and going through the process? And Stephen Miller and white supremacists who want the ethnic cleansing want those people lumped in too. So when you hear the huge numbers about 20 million this, 50 million undocumented, they're just talking about non-white people.
Yep. This is from a couple of days ago, but and maybe people are aware of this guy. He's Reverend Rob Schenck. He is a formerly a religious right activist. I feel like I've heard about this guy before, but I found this pretty impressive. Here he is. This is.
I'm making up for errors of my past. I spent 35 years as an activist on the religious right, doing a lot of damage, helping to deliver the entities that are now inflicting all of this suffering on so many people, and in the process contradicting in every possible way the message I thought I was promoting in those years, but in fact I was doing the opposite. So now I have to do the work of repair. And it came too late, and I have what time I have, but I want to do that repair, and just being present here and being in solidarity with all these folks is part of that repair work in my own soul, but more importantly, in the external world where people have to live with the consequences of my decades of harm and injury. So I have to own that, and it's painful, but I have found the folks here more gracious than any of the so-called Christian leaders that I kept company with in those years, that I thought up myself as being. These folks are showing more grace in accepting me and inviting me to walk with them than I would have ever extended to them 10 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 30 years ago. This is redemption. This is redemption. In the big picture and in my tiny little small personal picture.
I mean, that's pretty, I found that pretty moving. That's from Mother Jones magazine, shot that video and produced it.
Yeah, that's the way.
I mean, I found that pretty impressive.
Bottle that and put it in the
Yeah,
water
exactly.
supply.
Exactly. How do we put that into the water supply? Should we let's get to 18 next week, because there's been stuff happening in New York City. Just briefly, we'll just tease this. Eric Adams blew a big hole in the budget and left a lot of booby traps for Mamdani, and he is reacting quickly and trying to figure out what to do. We will get to that, I guess, next week. But here is, should we do 15? Here's Rand Paul, not somebody I would normally champion in any way, but he's got a brand to maintain, and good for him. Marco Rubio, the Cuba as a country apparently has less than 25 days of fuel remaining on the island. Many of the ships that have been pirated by the United States, the oil ships, at least some of them, were destined to Cuba to provide for oil, whether from Venezuela or other places. For Marco Rubio, the big problem he had with Venezuela was largely, I think, its relationship with Cuba. And he sees Venezuela as a linchpin to finally create, I guess, a counter-revolution in Cuba to reinstall all of the people who had essentially benefited from the Batista regime, where, United States interests came in and owned a lot of the stuff. And those who worked with the Batista government owned a lot of stuff, and they lost that during the Cuban Revolution 60 years later. There are still people who are counting on essentially recouping and exploiting those things. So here's Rand Paul questioning Marco Rubio about Venezuela.
So I would ask you, if a foreign country bombed our air defense missiles, captured and removed our president, and blockaded our country, would that be considered an act of war?
Well, I think your question is about and I will acknowledge you've been very consistent on all these points the entire career. So let me no matter who's in charge. So I will point to two things. The first is it's hard for us to conceive that an operation that lasted about 4.5 hours and was a law enforcement operation to capture someone we don't recognize as a head of state, indicted in the United States, wanted with a $50 million bounty.
My question would be, if it only took 4 hours to take our president, it's very short, nobody dies on the other side, nobody dies on our side, it's perfect. Would it be an act of war?
We just don't believe that this operation comes anywhere close to the constitutional definition of
But
war.
would it be an act of war if someone did it to us? Nobody dies, few casualties, they're in and out, boom, it's a perfect military operation. Would that be an act of war? Of course it would be an act of war. I'm probably the most anti-war person in the Senate, and I would vote to declare war if someone invaded our country and took our president.
I mean, Rubio's trying to do a two-step. He's saying it wasn't a war. And that's not the question. The question is this an act of war? Are you declaring war on a country when you come in and kidnap its president?
That's just law and order.
Yeah, he took 2 steps out of the paint so that Rand Paul could dunk, is what he did.
I mean, it was extraordinary. And, it won't mean anything. We are so beyond any type of certainly no one who supports Donald Trump is looking at this stuff and sees it as problematic. Probably more people have found, the Carl Reiner, the Rob Reiner tweet more problematic. I mean, I think that's the case. I mean, that's just the sort of the nature of the world we're living in now. But that's, there is no justification for what we did there. And we're still sort of holding the country hostage. The next set of leaders there.
When Kennedy was assassinated and people thought it might have been like a Soviet agent or something like that, there was basically an open discussion about hey, maybe we should step back from doing coups in other countries and assassinating their leaders and deposing them, because it might have some kind of splashback effect on how the world treats our leaders. And there's no real even attempt to do that these days. We're gonna just send a missile and take out Iran's defense minister, or we're gonna kidnap Maduro. And it's you are politicians too.
Yeah, you're open. Your targets. Just want to note that Rubio was confirmed unanimously with 99 votes. Of course.
Yep.
I mean, a fellow senator. Let's go to the IMs. Sam, will you at least read my first M from earlier today? Let's see that one. I feel like we haven't had a fun half comedy guest breaking down right-winger content. That was peak 2019. Shit. I am in love with the bit Chris James was doing lately where his face tunes his pictures to look like some fat, angry alcoholic. Okay. This show has changed the world. Crime for me. Oh, change the word crime for me. I'm not able to strike today, and I feel horrible because of not striking. I decided to join DSA. Wouldn't have known about DSA, not for MR. All right.
Awesome.
That's pretty good. Nassau County spokesperson. New poll in Michigan shows McMurrow in first and El Said in last. We need to get that name recognition up. McMurrow has 22 points in this poll. Said has 16. Stevens has 17. And there's 36% undecided. So yes, there's a lot of room in that in Michigan right now.
Time to lock in.
Yep. Krusty Gnome, can we get a link to the orgy in the description? Dimpria, Sam, you should do a movie called Dude, Where's My Shofar? Union fan, San Diego DSA is nearly at 1,000 members. Nice.
DSA National is closing in on 100K. I'm pretty sure they're at like 98 or something like that. So now's a good time to get in before if you want to be in the first 100K.
California Resistance. Sam, thoughts about the new Bruce Streets of Minneapolis tune? I heard Billy Bragg came out with a song too. I want to hear that. I've listened to the Bruce one. I mean, look, I'm not a music critic. I am happy for any type of like cultural resistance or protest. I think that's helpful. There's no substitute for getting out there and getting organized, but if that helps people, which I'm sure it will, then I'm in favor of it. I heard that Dave Matthews also did like the Crosby, Stills, Nash, Young. I don't know. Young was with them at that time.
Dave Matthews has great politics. And, if I knew that back when I was hating Dave Matthews as a big part of my personality, like 20 years ago, I would just tell myself like, go easy.
Well, you saw
hate it.
You saw what that minister did. There's still time for you.
I'm gonna go to DMB
10
shows.
years of DMB shows to show you've reformed.
This is redemption.
Tell Matt to watch Pablo Torre's episode on the Memphis Grizzlies owner, especially the second one where Pablo has a conversation with the CBS guy about the value of journalism.
I saw that. I think that was related to he's doing some drone sort of startup, maybe with Russia. Pablo Torre is so impressive to me, breaking all of these insanely important stories and getting these billion-dollar leagues to basically have to ignore him and not give him comment on it.
I did see Netanyahu paying tribute to Robert Kraft.
Oh yeah, that was great.
As a New Englander who does not support the Patriots, I felt fine about that.
You take your shots. That's. I don't want to talk about that. It has nothing to do with football. Why does everything have to be made political?
To be fair, it is not the player's fault.
Is there a special press box for war criminals?
Exactly. I know. Mini psychologist Justin Vernon of Bon Iver wore a whistle while accepting a Songwriter of the Year award last night. That's awesome.
Awesome. I met Bon Iver was good stuff.
Depressed optimist, y'all hate my messages. Folks, you don't understand. There are, I don't know how many, 400 IMs here, and they come in really quick. It's completely random. Glenn Beck ate my dad. Dave Matthews, my goat. I've seen him 10 times in concert. Have cried at least once each time.
Solidarity.
Carly Chirk, tomorrow there is an international bike ride for Alex Preddy. The Angry Catfish Bike Shop and Cafe was Alex Preddy's club. They're pushing the ride, which now has bike rides from Italy to Australia. Look up their social media to find a map of all the known rides. Go for a ride for our fallen biking brother. Definitely not Cameron. Ever since Jamal Bowman said these politicians think they're doing theater last November, I haven't been able to unhear it. It infuriates me to think that they have to act like they're talking to children. They're so unserious. Dave from Tallinn. I've seen you would believe. I've seen things you wouldn't believe.
That's probably in reference to the Minneapolis theater.
Okay. Krusty Gnome. Can we get a link? Oh, yeah, I already read that. Mohorda. I was just told that Twitch made Hassan take a training and the content of the training was made by the ADL. I happen to know the people that do his production. Well, I hope he learned something.
Yeah, seriously.
I hope he takes that footage and actually plays it on his show.
Yeah.
What can I do to get that training? On Poggers, can you report me for training on Twitch? Let's Pogger this.
Mass report us, everybody.
Right into Twitch. Say Sam Seder needs the training. Militant apathy. The world would be a better place if Stephen Miller had gone to school with some real black and brown people and gotten his ass properly effed up. I'm not sure. I think that did happen to him, actually.
Yeah, he certainly had people to hate in high school.
Jay Tingle. Abby Lowell's a guy. Thank you. And Catherine O'Hara has died. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's sad. She's
one of the funniest people ever.
One of the funniest people ever. I mean, go back and watch her on Second City and awesome.
CCTV, whatever. SCTV.
SCTV, sorry, yes.
Yeah.
She was very, very funny. Spaghetti Brains.
Any Christopher Guest movie, too.
Yes. Tom Homan sounds like someone put Teddy Ruxpin in the bath. All right, 2 more, then we're out of here. Leftist Rage. You guys should have Brennan Lee Mulligan on. Sam, how dare you not spend every second of the show reading my messages? Who's Brennan Lee Mulligan?
Looks like maybe a comedian.
I don't know.
We'll look into it.
College Humor.
What's that?
It's from College Humor.
Final IM of the day. Let's go to Moody Guthrie. The caller from Oklahoma, I assume, the other day inspired me to become a member. I'm from OKC. My folks live a half a mile from the proposed ice building. It wasn't built for the purpose. It was a warehouse complete with loading docks. I bet it only has one small restroom. They would just put in cages and call it a day. Barbaric. Luckily, Mayor Holt announced that he talked to the owners and they backed out of the deal. Oh, yeah, I just had that story. Though no doubt the feds will figure out another location here. There's a lot of good folks here in OK. We aren't all maggots. I just want to remind other Okies listening to not give up your hope of a better future for our state. We have to stand up for it. Thank you all for MR for everything you do. Thank you. I appreciate the membership. And this is good stuff. anything that delays, they're going to come and try and rebuild this, but anything that delays it is good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Take
War
any
of
kind
attrition.
win.
Indeed. Matt, Bryan, Emma in absentia, great job this week. Also, obviously, great job to Dorsey and to Corey and Whitney, and always to Kyle and
Gino.
Chris and Maria and Gino and Julie. Everybody, great job. It's a very trying time for really everybody in the country, and obviously, you know, folks in Minnesota, and obviously folks who are immigrants and black and brown folks. And I mean, everybody's going through it. It is super hard to have to like swim in these waters constantly. And so everybody, good job. Hang in there. We'll be back in February, which is on Monday. And we'll do it again, one day at a time.
The best month this year, the shortest month.
It's exactly right. We'll get through this one. We got through 31 days of this. We can do 29.
8. It's not a leap year, is it?
Oh, is it 28? Okay. Well, either way.
Don't do that to me. Don't give me an extra day.
All right, folks. See you on Monday.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the light bar, but finding out won't make me feel any better. Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright. I guess somewhere the choice was made for the option where you don't get paid, for the road that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive